I'm Steve Russek. People have asked me, talking about your mother's experience is so painful for you. Why do you do it? My answer is simple. Like my mother, I'm committed to remembrance. This film and my work with the Holocaust Education Resource Center of Milwaukee stems from that commitment. I always knew my mom was somehow different. It was not just the language we spoke in our home or the food we ate. It was the presence of that number tattooed into her arm. This is my very brief account of her story. My mother Dora was born in 1923 in Grodno, Poland. She was the second child of Motel and Shana Libby Jablonek. Dora described her childhood as joyous, bound up in the lives of her large extended family, friends, and the Jewish community. During her teen years, Mom and her family were victims of anti-Semitic riots known as pogroms. After the German occupation in June 1941, Dora was imprisoned in the Grodno ghetto. There she experienced starvation, humiliation, and brutalization at the hands of the Germans and their Polish collaborators. In November 1942, Dora and her family were taken to the transit camp of Kielbasa. Just prior to her escape, Dora's father tells her, "I have a feeling you will survive. When you do, my brother Chaim in America will be your new father." That night, Mom's family is taken by train to Auschwitz. Her escape was unsuccessful. In January 1943, Dora is deported to Auschwitz-Birkenau. The 3-day train trip and arrival are terrifying. She is forced under a freezing cold shower, her head is completely shaved, and she is numbered with a tattoo. A few months later, Mom is selected to work in Canada, the commando that sorted the clothing and valuables robbed from the Jews being murdered by the Germans. Mom and other women and men of Canada, at risk of their lives, smuggled shoes, so critical to staying alive in the muddy conditions of Auschwitz, as well as warm clothing to Jews in the main camp. These acts and countless others were resistance in an environment filled with choiceless choices. Survivors have shared their admiration of my mom's fearlessness and integrity with me. It continues to inspire her descendants to do the right thing in the face of injustice and persecution. In January 1945, Dora is evacuated from Auschwitz. Mom recounted marching in the brutal cold for a week. She said of that experience, "If you wanted to rest, you rested forever." She ended up as a slave laborer again in Germany. With the Soviet army nearing Germany, the surviving Jews were forced on a final death march to nowhere. Not long after, Mom was liberated by American soldiers. Weeks after liberation, in spring 1945, Dora and her camp sisters started out on a journey to Grodno. Unfortunately, the Soviets squashed their hopes, and they ended up in Kovel, where Mom meets and marries my dad, Shimon. Mom and Dad flee Poland. They end up in a displaced persons camp in Austria. It is there, in 1947, that Motzel's brother from America, Herman Yablokov, a Jewish performer touring DP camps, is reunited with Dora. Fulfilling my grandfather's promise to my mom, he is the only grandfather I ever knew. In 1949, my parents, along with my brother, arrive in New York City, where they are greeted by Uncle Herman. In January 1943, an elderly Jew said to Mom and others, "Just remember everything. Don't leave anything out. Tell the world what the Germans have done to us." In 2011, Mom and her family celebrated the publication of her memoir. Every day in my mind I have this. Mom kept that promise. This is now my responsibility.